All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? I am Is There No One Else? And the video I'm bringing you today, I wanted to help you guys out, you console players. We got the new patch coming out next week. For you PC players, it came out this last week. And yeah, there's a couple bugs going on right now. Those will get fixed. Who knows when, but every time a new patch comes out, I'm always asked, like, hey, do a new build on, you know, my favorite class, on this class, And before we dive into this video, I want to explain to you guys that, like, I do try to get builds out for you guys that request them, for the more difficult ones, because yeah, I understand you guys like playing in your favorite classes, and I like to try and help you guys out in that way. But for me, making a build, when I post a build video, I'm testing it for at least a week, if not 2 weeks. And so the first build that I post won't come until 2 weeks after the patch at the earliest. 1 week, 2 weeks after the patch. And so if you're waiting on me, you're probably going to be waiting for a bit. And so I want to get a video out there. I wanted to talk to you guys in advance so you guys know where I'm going to start, and kind of give you guys some help so that you guys can formulate your own builds and get the ball rolling for your favorite class. And, you know, when I finally get to your class and I post that build, you guys, you know where I started and where I came from, and, you know, see what I'm running. So that's what this video is to help you guys start off in the new patch, at least to get in on the right path, and then want to try and give you guys tips and tricks to where you guys can figure out what you're going to do later on. So I got some footage in the background if you guys want to watch that. I had a really fun fight outside of Ash, went on for a long while, and so we'll do a couple videos with this fight going on in the background. But yeah, this is the video. Let's dive into it. Yeah, as far as Markarth goes, classes didn't change a ton. You know, there are a couple different skills that got adjusted, but there was nothing like really that was so, there's nothing that changed so drastically that an entire class's ability to function is completely different. Like, you look at Warden, Arctic Blast did get changed, and so maybe instead of running Arctic Blast, you're gonna run Trellis. Maybe you're gonna go more weapon or spell damage based, so your other heals are a little bit more powerful. There will be some minor adjustments in that department, but yeah, outside of that big change, not a whole lot was impacted from the class department. Proc sets are back, and proc sets got adjusted. And so when I'm looking at patches like this, I look for starting points. What patch is the most similar to the one coming up, or the one that we're currently in? And to me, that's Markarth. The Markarth patch will probably be the most similar. That's where we had the most similar amount of weapons. That's where classes were the most similar. And so if you're starting off and you're trying to figure out what you're going to run in this next patch, I would go look at Markarth builds. I would go back, you can go look at my Markarth builds, you can go look at your other favorite YouTubers' Markarth builds, and that will give you a good jumping off point to figure out what you want to run. And so that's where I'm going to start. And for a lot of you guys that watch those, you know that for stamina builds, I was running like Daedra Trickery and Clever Alchemist, front bar Batishran, and either like Balorg or a one piece with Malakath, either or. So that's basically where I was starting. So Trickery, Clever Alchemist, or Pariah, Clever Alchemist, something like that. And then, like I said, the Vatishran's 2H. Those were my stamina-based builds, whether I ran a bow or sword and board, more or less where I was at. You guys can feel free to go check them out if you want to get more details on that. As far as the magic classes, really dependent. You know, I dabbled in Trickery a little bit. Trickery on Mag DK was awesome. I think I was running, I can't remember what I was running on my Magplar. You guys can go check them. It doesn't matter. But that's where I'm going to start for all the classes. I'm going to go back to those specific builds, and I'm going to branch off from there. And so, yeah, that's basically where I'm going to start. So if you guys have questions about a specific class, I have an entire Markarth playlist with different builds that I posted, and you guys can go check those out. Now, just because it's similar doesn't mean it's going to be exactly the same. You can run your Markarth build, and maybe you're going to be a little bit underwhelmed. Maybe some adjustments happened, some unforeseen adjustments to you that, you know, you weren't expecting. And so I like to have a plan, and then I like to have backup options. And so I talked to a couple of my buddies about different builds that I'm running and whatnot, and it's funny because I'll talk to them and I'll be like, yeah, this feels really good, but I have to try this. And I know it annoys some of them because they're like, dude, you have a good build. Why are you trying something else? And it's eliminating all the possibilities. I have to remove all the possibilities. Like if I like Trickery, I have to compare Trickery to another set like Pariah. or I have to compare it to another defensive set like Iron Blood, and I have to weigh the pros and cons. If I'm going to run a defensive set, I have to look at all the different defensive sets and figure out which one I really like for a specific build, so that I go, okay, for me personally, I really like this. I tried the other ones, but no. If I like something like Clever Alchemist, I have to try stuff like Powerful Assault, or maybe I go more of a just a flat damage set like Titanborn or Stun or whatever. I have to try those different things and see what I like more. And so that's what I'm gonna do. And so if you're running, you know, your proc Magic and Necromancer as an example, and you got Zahn on, and you got the Vatishran's Destro on, and Oblivion's Foe, and due to the proc changes, it's not doing as much damage, you have to figure out, okay, well, what can I run to boost the damage on these procs? What do I have to adjust? And you look at, okay, well, I got to run spell damage sets. Well, what do I want to eliminate? Do I want to eliminate Zahn and run Balorg and get that temporary burst and get that temporary 500 spell damage plus all the pen? Or do I run a set like Clever Alchemist that'll give me 600? Or do I run like Burning Spellweave? Those are the different things that I would bounce in and out. So if you're running a bunch of procs and your procs just aren't doing what you want to do, you're probably have to take off a proc and put on a weapon or spell damage set in order to boost those, in order to get them to something more competitive. And you make those shifts. So you start with your plan, and then you have your backup plans. And so I know on my Stamina Necromancer, I was running 5 Daedric Trickery, 5 Clever Alchemist, 1 Balorg, Malakath Ring, and the Vatishran's 2H. That was my build, and that's where I'm going to start. That's where I'm going to start on my Stamina Necromancer. I'm going to try that out. We'll see how it goes. And then I'm going to try the Transformation Ring. I'm going to try a couple of the other things. I'm going to try a monster set. I'm going to try Balorg. One of the new monster sets in Imperial City. Though, just those small adjustments. You want to make small incremental adjustments to your build because you want to know what works and what doesn't. And so if you start with, as an example, Trickery and Clever Alchemist, Malakath, Vatishran's 2H, if you change 2 or 3 things, you don't know which ones you like. Like, it's too many variables, and you've changed it so much that you're not going to know what part of what works really well. And so I always advocate for eliminating one thing at a time. So if you don't want to run Malakath because you don't feel it's as powerful, you take Malakath off, you put Balorg on. You make those adjustments like that. And I'm not saying that's going to be better, but that's the adjustment you make. So instead of Malakath, you run Balorg and you weigh the pros and cons of that. If you don't want to run Balorg and you want to run Malakath, you make those adjustments. If you don't like Trickery and you go, okay, you know what? I want to run Pariah. You take off Trickery, you put on Pariah, or you put on Iron Blood or Spectre's Eye or whatever defensive set that really floats your boat and gets you all excited in the morning. Run whatever you want. Just try them individually. Like, play a little bit with Trickery, play a little bit with Pariah, play a little bit with these sets, and get a good feel for what it's doing. Okay, I'm definitely more tanky with Pariah, but the ulti gen that I'm missing out on Trickery, it's too much to pass up, so I'm going to go back to Trickery. Or I just like the guaranteed tankiness that I get with Pariah. Whatever you choose, doesn't matter, but those are the small incremental changes that I personally make. Now, as far as classes go right now, like, there's a lot of bugs going on. I know block cost has been increased. There's a bug where it's cost 2 to 3 times the amount of what block normally does, and I'm sure it'll get fixed eventually. But if that's going to be an issue that's going to drag on for a week or two, I would change your build to something that doesn't utilize block. I would run a bow and 2H build, and so all of a sudden I would be looking at Gaze of Sithis, and I know Gaze of Sithis got a nerf. But if block cost is getting increased by that much, I would run something that's going to make you tanky without needing to run block. And so I would switch to something more mobile, switch to something a little bit more quick. If I'm running a Magicka spec, maybe I go to a Resto Staff on the back bar and I run Radiating Regen or Rapid Regen, something like that. And I run more heals and I utilize heal over times instead of block. And so those are the changes you're going to have to make in the short term. And so there's a couple different things you can do. Obviously, you have to take that into account. Obviously, proc-based healing sets scale off your max stats. So maybe you're going to look at a set like Necropotence and a healing set, or maybe you're going to look at a set, Max Magicka plus a healing set, just to give you that extra healing so you don't have to block as much. There are options. There are multiple different sets out there that will help you overcome the issues that will arise in the new PvP. So Yeah, that's basically where I'm going to start. If you guys have any questions, in theory, I know I'm not going down into specific things for specific classes because I really can't right now. I'm not in the new patch yet. I'm not experimenting new things yet. I will be farming gear. I'll be streaming that on Twitch if you guys want to come hang out. Yeah, we'll be doing streams more regularly and whatnot, which should be a good time. But yeah, that's going to be the end of this video. Hopefully that gives you guys a decent start. I would go back to Markarth builds for anybody curious right now. And when I do update new builds, I will come out with them and go in detail like I always do. So if you guys have any questions or comments, I will try to respond to all of them in the comment section below. Let's just end that here and let me know what you're looking forward to in the new patch, what you're not looking forward to, all those sorts of things. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.